Now, there are still a few things which are not completely right here. Let's take a look at the preview again. On the first side, this text is a bit too far on the server, and everything is a bit hard to read, especially this text here. So ideally, we would give this a slight overlay again, like we did to this navigation bar. So it's ever so slightly better to read, and we should limit the text width here. Let's go about doing that. The first thing is I'm gonna select this subheading and give it a maximum, a width of 500 pixels. That limits how far the text moves to the right. Okay, this is already better readable. Now we said we want to give it a slight background color to just improve readability even more. And in order to do so, I can create a new div element and nest it within the text wrapper, and then put the two other elements within that div element. Now let's select that, give it a class name of hero text wrap background, and select that and just give it a background color of white, which we set to transparent of maybe 40%. 40% seems good. And we could give it a radius of, let's say, 40 pixels. Okay. I see that means we can still push this all a bit in. We can also limit its width to maybe 500 pixels. So let's preview this again. Okay, perfect. Now this is all a bit better readable. The only thing here is we could create some more spacing here, and we could also make this stream stick out a bit more. All right, in order to make this create some more spacing, I'm just going to select the subheading hero and give it a bit of a margin to push it down, a margin of say 60 pixels. And then I'm going to select the hero heading. I'm going to click into the heading and select the dream. And then you should see this little pop up. This allows us to change its boldness and create a link in it, or we can wrap something with a span element. The span element allows us to style individual parts of this text. So let's wrap it with this span, and then give this span, make sure that we select this span exactly, give it a class of say highlight span. Just change the text color to our primary orange. And now we have the same orange as we used earlier, and it's just sticking out a bit more. We have a bit more spacing here, and maybe we can improve this ever so slightly. Now I think the spacing we added here was a bit too much, so let's reduce this to it's 20 pixels, and we can also give it a tiny bit of margin at the bottom of maybe 20 pixels. It just creates a bit more space, but this should look better. Yeah, perfect. Okay, for the moment I'm quite happy with what we created, and you can see it's a lot of iteration and just doing it and trying out until you find something which you are more or less happy with. And I think there's never a design which is ultimately complete. There's always some room for improvement. and you can always adjust that later on once you design other parts of the websites and your design evolved a bit more throughout the designing process. However, we now have our first section of the website ready, and that took quite a lot of time. The next parts should go a lot quicker, I think, once you really start getting into the design process and